I chose the German translation of the title, KI im Recht, because it's kind of ambiguous, right? It suggests that we're talking about artificial intelligence in law, but also is artificial intelligence right? Does it know better? That's the kind of question that we need to ask ourselves in these times of big data, where in just 1 minute, actually, 700,000 Google queries are being asked, 500,000 Facebook posts are being sent, and as we go shopping, as we move around, we leave data traces, and so people have been asking, can we now know everything that's happening in the world? And a big data dream was born. Chris Anderson formulated the end of theory. Of course, that's more a claim. The data deluge, he said, makes the scientific method obsolete. I think today nobody believes that anymore, but in any case, we are now living in a data-rich, if not data-driven society, where all the big data that has been collected about us is fed into AI systems, and those AI systems are becoming smarter very quickly. It's expected that we might have super intelligent systems in very few years. Maybe some of these systems exist already. For sure, for many years already, computers are better chess players. And back in 2016, Google's AI was also able to beat the world champion in the strategic game Go. And that was kind of unexpected to happen at that time. Many experts thought it would take another 10 or 20 years, but that Google AI used as much energy that as a medium-sized city would consume. So it's still not really comparable with human brains. But in any case, AI is getting smarter and it can teach itself to win this game. And some people have suggested then AI might get smarter in any single discipline. And so basically we would have to accept the superior judgment of AI systems. I will question this. But in any case, we're now living in a new world. And many people haven't realized that. Disruptive innovations and creative destruction have created that maybe brave new world even. We have a new currency. Data is the new oil, people say. And in fact, IT companies are more valuable than oil companies these days. But also we have a new economy, the so-called attention economy. That means in our countries, basically, attention is the scarcest resource, and so there is a market that's basically selling our attention. On the other hand, of course, we see a lot of automation going on in this new digital economy, and so the question is, are AI systems and robots the better workers? At least they don't have to be paid a salary, taxes, they don't ask for holidays. So certainly people are under pressure to compete with those systems. Now the question is, are they better doctors? That's now controversially debated. But some people have even suggested that they would be replacing our politicians. So for example, in New Zealand in 2020, maybe there would be an AI system running for president. There are some companies that also have AI systems already in their board of directors. I'm not sure, is there any company represented over here that has an AI system taking decisions? No? And of course, sooner or later, also lawyers may be replaced, at least in some of their activities, by AI systems, and this is happening, and as this article claims, they are winning. Now, how far can we go with this technology? Certainly, there's a problem. Huge amounts of material that are amassed for each single trial it's very difficult to keep an overview, and AI systems can do that. They can scan through huge masses of information and find the information that's relevant for a certain kind of thing. But would we have even a new legal system? And some people say now code is law. That means algorithms are determining more and more what is possible to do in our society and what not. However, those algorithms are not passed by our parliaments. That means they're kind of circumventing our democratic institutions. That is kind of worrying because now completely different people decide what are the new rules of our societies, and maybe not everyone agrees, maybe not even the majority agrees. Most people have not even realized that we're living in this new reality, and people are talking about smart contracts, which can be implemented with blockchain technology, and you could go so far if you wanted that somebody couldn't even rent a car or open their car if they haven't paid the rent, or there's some other issue, right? So you could do that if you wanted. The question is, do we want to do this? And here I'm quite skeptical. We are kind of heading towards a new political system too. And of course, law is a framework. Now algorithms become also a framework. And we need to be very concerned about what's going on, because a lot of this is about controlling people. In fact, technology has to some extent exceeded to build something like a digital sector. Nudging is the key word, and this nudging is now being personalized with big data that has been collected about us. All of you are being profiled and targeted, and you would probably be surprised to learn that the amount of data collected every day about every one of us is estimated to be between several hundred megabytes to several gigabytes per day per person. It's a hell of data, and so we are in a situation where there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of companies that know us better than our friends, family, and ourselves. And those companies can manipulate us. We don't know their names though. How does this work? Well, the human brain runs on 100 watts, like an electrical bulb, and so it's extremely efficient as compared to Google's AI, but it takes shortcuts, it makes simplifications, and that creates something like cognitive biases, and there are several dozens of them, and they have been mapped out. And each of these biases means that you can be tricked to take certain decisions, to come to certain conclusions or opinions in these kind of things. And for each of those biases, basically, digital ways have been found to trick you in an automated way, and AI systems would be able to do this and apply it to hundreds of millions of people in parallel, basically all day. And we are all being manipulated by personalized information that draws our attention to certain kind of things, and that would influence our subconsciousness to have certain opinions or take certain decisions or actions. And if you don't believe that, you should watch this video by Tristan Harris about how a handful of tech companies controls billions of minds every day. Tristan Harris has worked in a Google control room, and so he knows what's going on and how this works. And that is basically the outcome. So, how is this new digital society going to work? Some people think we could run society like a giant machine. We just needed to know what are the different pieces, and that's basically you and me and companies and political parties, and so basically you have a black box with a machine learning algorithm that you feed with a hell lot of data, and so those black boxes learn to behave like us. So they're digital doubles basically, and you can experiment with these doubles how to trick them best to behave in a way that would like them to behave. And so the early concept of smart cities was all about automation. And the dream was also to build smart nations and a smart world. And some people are getting quite concerned about this concept because it doesn't really work well. And it doesn't really work well because cities are not just huge logistic systems, and they're also not huge entertainment parks where we basically consume pre-manufactured experiences, but instead they're places where we meet other people, we fall in love, we are creative, we are innovative, and we shape our future together. So companies today are trying to come up with an operating system for society, not just for computers and for smartphones. And the question is, what will happen? Putin said, who is the leader in artificial intelligence will rule the world? And then the question is, of course, who will be that? And so it seems like China has already overtaken Google, and let's have a look at what China is doing. They have built this citizen score that you have learned about, and so basically everything people do or don't do gets them plus or minus points if you cross the street when there is a red light, minus points if you pay your rent a few days later, get minus points if you read critical political news, will earn you minus points. If you have friends who read critical political news, it will also earn you minus points. And then in the end, your overall citizen score will determine what kind of jobs you can get, how much you have to pay for your loan, what countries you can travel to, and also how fast is your internet, or whether you can still use public transportation or not. So this is really technological totalitarianism, has been criticized in every German and European and American newspapers so far, and some people, however, would go so far to say AI is the new God. Now, once it's super intelligent, it knows everything better, and we would just have to do what it tells us. And in fact, we know for some time this has been in the making. The British Secret Service has worked out a karma police program that does exactly this. It creates a citizen score based on all your activities on the internet, what kind of movies you watch, what music you listen to, it's all being evaluated. So that's something like a digital Bentham panopticon, where all of us are being watched. And on the other hand, this is kind of the concept for the perfect prison, right? So that brings us to the pre-crime programs, and certainly these programs have some success anticipating crime, but also a lot of innocent people are turned into suspects. And so basically the principle of ideo pro reo and assuming innocence of people is basically gone. Everyone now is suspicious, and in fact it's not so easy to make sure that you won't break any laws in an regulated country like Germany or many other countries, because there are regulations for everything, and some of them are contradictory, of course, and you know this. Now basically we find the situation where detecting breaking of law is becoming kind of automated, and you can charge bills to people, and this is happening, for example, on our freeways where we have this new section control systems, and people claim that now we have basically Big Brother on our freeways, and totalitarian surveillance is kind of spreading, and even our smart cars in the future could collect all sorts of information, including who is in front of them. I mean, they could, of course, apply face recognition and could surveil our cities. Now, this kind of thinking is not just happening in China. And in Great Britain, as I told you, also in the Netherlands, we have a similar system. And now, why should we be concerned? Because these algorithms do make mistakes. There are errors of first and second kind. There are biases, and some people, like this guy from Google, says this is a problem bigger than killer robots, that there's bias. So here's an example. Back already in the 70s, people have started to use machine learning in order to help evaluate applications for jobs. And eventually, it was a 95% success rate in selecting those people that also human committees have selected. So they decided, okay, let's skip the committee and just apply this AI system to select the best candidates. And then 4 years later, it turned out that this system was racially and sexually discriminating applicants. And so, in fact, it has been found that many of these algorithms discriminate people. For example, they discriminate against women or people of color. And so how should we think about algorithms applied to asylum seekers or also to unemployed people, as it's now spreading in several countries? I don't say we shouldn't apply it at all, but I'm trying to raise a word of warning over here, not to be too fast in the application of algorithms without reflecting about the implications. So in many cases, what happens is scientists have developed an algorithm for particles, like at CERN, where they do the experiments, and then they have to predict the trajectories of those particles, and so this algorithm works wonderfully. And they say, okay, let's see whether we can apply this to something else, like a chicken farm or a pig farm. And then they say, okay, now we can do something more sophisticated. Let's hunt down terrorists, or let's find criminals, and to some extent, of course, that's successful. I don't deny this, and of course this goes on, and then eventually you would apply it to unemployed people, maybe to Chinese, I mentioned the Citizens Corps, and in the end everyone. I mean, it's all of us, that's basically on the way. And why am I getting nervous about it? Because now we have really serious discussions in connection with these ethical dilemmas, the trolley problem, what should an automated car do? And so should they kill grandma or a child? And there's already software being developed by Google and others that decides about life and death. And there's also research about euthanasia now in connection with digital system. And why is this happening? And just to make you aware of this, because some people think the world is overpopulated and we have to learn to die. These are some of the graphs by the Club of Rome, but the United Nations also is concerned about lack of sustainability. And so where is our society heading? So I think we need to take a different path. We need to learn how to engineer for a more responsible future. In fact, the IEEE has come up with standards for ethically aligned design. So this is taking up speed. Design for values. The European Union has created a framework. We've been asking about the implication for democracy. In fact, democracy has a number of institutions and mechanisms that have resulted as lessons from history, wars and revolutions. We shouldn't just skip all those things that we've learned. We should build those things into our digital platforms to support democracy, to strengthen it. In fact, we need value pluralism. We need to design for those values that matter for our society from a constitutional perspective and a cultural perspective. Also, when code is law, algorithms must be made transparent, I believe. We must learn how to ensure fairness and autonomous decision making, and we need to learn how to ensure human dignity, because human dignity is not quantified with big data, and so in a data-driven society it can easily be skipped. Then one of the questions that we have to answer is who has to have control of our digital twin? And I think we need to ensure informational self-determination follows from human dignity, and we can now build those platforms that would allow us to determine what company would get access to what pieces of our data for what purpose, period of time, and maybe what financial compensation. Digital assistants, personalized ones, could help us to manage our data. All personalized services and products would be possible, but companies would have to compete for our trust. So that would lead to a trusted digital society and also to a level playing field that would open the treasure of data for not only big business but also small and medium-sized businesses, and also spin-offs and scientific institutions and so on. Moreover, there is a hidden danger of big data, that we would over-automate and over-control and basically eliminate all the freedoms that matter for creativity and innovation. So assume you want to automate a certain process, and you have 6 criteria to basically give you hints what you should be doing. Of course, you can then say if kind of up to 3 hints are in favor of that decision, you would decide no, or the system would decide no. If there are 4 or more hints in favor of that decision, the system would decide yes, and you would just do it. But then you have eliminated all the freedom. However, we could also build a system this way, that the system would identify the clear cases where surely the result would be no, the clear cases where surely the result would be yes, also if humans or committees would sit over those cases, and then there would be kind of a intermediate range where things are not so clear, where the system would tell you these are the cases where you really need to watch closely, where you need to debate, where you need to think about it. And I think we should keep that freedom, and it's actually an essential part of our legal system today. So I'm not against automation, but I don't want my entire life to be automated. I want those systems to support me where things are clear and maybe don't matter so much. But if I would have to decide about whom to marry or whom to have as a friend, I wouldn't want this to be automated. So basically, we need to have decision points built into those systems, right? And in fact, how I imagine the digital future is that those digital systems would support self-organization. And in fact, with the Internet of Things, it now becomes possible to make Adam Smith's invisible hand work, to make self-organization work. We've shown that in many different systems, from overcoming these kind of traffic jams to social systems, where basically the success principle is to have real-time measurements and real-time feedback to change the interaction slightly in such a way that self-organization would produce the outcome that we'd like to have. And you can use that to support cooperation, coordination, trust and truth. Evolutionary game theory has learned a lot about this, how this works. And in fact, we know these systems from nature, these flocks of birds, social animals, but also entire ecosystems are self-regulated, and they're extremely successful. And in fact, economists had this idea that our society could work this way. And in fact, yes, it could work this way. Now we can make it work this way with new digital technology. So this technology would enable, it would empower people to take better decisions, to be more creative, more innovative, and more cooperative. And in fact, Nobel Prize winner Elinor Ostrom has shown that self-governance is efficient if we just apply proper design principles. Now we can support people in their decision making without having to nudge and trick them, but by guiding them and giving them opportunities to achieve what they want to accomplish, to set up the kinds of projects they want to contribute to our society. And augmented reality and mixed reality are the tools that basically bring people up to speed and make them competent in areas where they haven't studied many years, but help them really apply the knowledge that other people have gained and thereby become more successful in corporations, also corporations, and businesses and so on, and to support people in the way they interact, how they set up their projects, to schedule the activities, to make sure that the accounting is right. So yes, AI systems can help us enormously. They can empower us. I would like to have a personalized digital assistant to help me achieve what I want to contribute to society. So I believe that we should be heading towards a digital society using the opportunities of this technology, but a society that would be built on co-learning, co-creation, coordination, cooperation, and co-evolution. So, and I'd like to end by saying, be a game changer. It's in your hands how we will live tomorrow. Thank you very much.